Yeah, let's take a journey through the mind to see as peers, where thoughts turn to actions and actions show their worth. Pragmatism in motion, a philosophy so grand. Let's break it down together and understand this man. In a world full of theories, Pierce stood apart, seeking truth in practice. Science at heart, he said ideas are nothing if they don't affect life. Every thought, every action cuts through like a knife. Meanings in the outcome, that's the essence of the game. Test your beliefs in real life, no two things the same. Signs and symbols, all part of the dance. In the realm of pragmatism, nothing's left to chance. Live your pragmatism, where thoughts meet the real. Actions speak louder, that's the true deal. In Pierce's world, it's all about the end. Truth is found in practice when ideas bend. He gave us the tools to question and explore, a method to our madness, opening the door. Logic and inquiry at the core of his quest. In the lab of life, put your ideas to the test. No absolute certainties, just hypotheses to try. In the web of experiences, we find the reasons why. Beliefs are like habits, shaping what we do. In the landscape of pragmatism, everything's in view. Live in pragmatism, when thoughts meet the real. Actions speak louder, that's the true deal. Because this world, it's all about the end. Truth is found in practice, when ideas bend. He gave us the tools to question and explore, a method to our madness, opening the door. Logic and inquiry at the core of his quest. In the lab of life, put your ideas to the test. No absolute certainties, just hypotheses to try. In the web of experiences, we find the reasons why. Beliefs are like habits, shaping what we do. In the landscape of pragmatism, everything's included. Pragmatism, when thoughts meet the real. Actions speak louder, that's the true deal. Because this world, it's all about the end. Truth is found in practice, where ideas bend. And when you're lost in theory, remember Pierce's way. Test your thoughts in action, let reality play. We're in the dance of life, where theories come alive. Pragmatism's the answer, it's where the truths derive. Every doubt, every question leads us to refine. In the practice of our living, true meaning we'll find. C.S. Pierce, a visionary mind, his brand of pragmatism forever intertwined. Live in pragmatism, when thoughts meet the real. Actions speak louder, that's the true deal. Because this world is all about the end. Truth is found in practice, where ideas bend. Take this message with you as you go on your way. In the spirit of Pierce, let your actions display the power of pragmatism. In everything you do, live the truth you seek and let it guide you through.
So take this message with you as you go on your way. In the spirit of Pierce, let your actions display the power of pragmatism. In everything you do, live the truth you seek and let it guide you through.
Isa pa tayo, Isa pa tayo, guys. Para mag-sink in sa inyo, para sa morning, your breakfast. Okay? Your breakfast. Okay. Isa pa. Wala 50, oh. Oh,
yeah, let's take a journey through the mind to see as Pierce, where thoughts turn to actions and actions show their worth. Pragmatism in motion, a philosophy so grand. Let's break it down together and understand this man. In a world full of theories, Pierce stood apart, seeking truth in practice. Science at heart, he said ideas are nothing if they don't affect life. Every thought, every action cuts through like a knife. Meanings in the outcome, that's the essence of the game. Test your beliefs in real life, no two things the same. Signs and symbols, all part of the dance. In the realm of pragmatism, nothing's left to chance. Live your pragmatism, where thoughts meet the real. Actions speak louder, that's the true deal. In Pierce's world, it's all about the end. Truth is found in practice, when ideas bend. He gave us the tools to question and explore, a method to our madness, opening the door. Logic and inquiry at the core of his quest. In the lab of life, put your ideas to the test. No absolute certainties, just hypotheses to try. In the web of experiences, we find the reasons why. Beliefs are like habits, shaping what we do. In the landscape of pragmatism, everything's in view. Live in pragmatism, when thoughts meet the real. Actions speak louder, that's the true deal. Because this world, it's all about the end. Truth is found in practice, when ideas bend. He gave us the tools to question and explore, a method to our madness, opening the door. Logic and inquiry at the core of his quest. In the lab of life, put your ideas to the test. No absolute certainties, just hypotheses to try. In the web of experiences, we find the reasons why. Beliefs are like habits, shaping what we do. In the landscape of pragmatism, everything's in living pragmatism, where thoughts meet the real, actions speak louder, that's the true deal. Because this world, it's all about the end. Truth is not a practice where ideas bend. Or when you're lost in theory, remember Pierce's way. Test your thoughts in action, let reality play. We're in the dance of life where theories come alive. Pragmatism's the answer, it's where the truths derive. Every doubt, every question leads us to refine. In the practice of our living, true meaning we'll find. C.S. Pierce, a visionary mind, his brand of pragmatism forever intertwined. Living pragmatism, where thoughts meet the real, actions speak louder, that's the true deal. Because this world is all about the end. Truth is not a practice where ideas.
Shout out Rianel, Mayo, Kenny, Little Boss, Can't Understand, Jay, Joy to Understanding, Jax, Freeloader, Fourth Wall, Arnold, Shimnet Lai, Chi, Paps Chulo, John, Mariam, Darkshade, Kais Minion, Troll Montero, Kukoy, Lawrence, Jay, Arlans, Head Baker, Paku, MGN. Good morning, nabigay ko na kay No Nonsense my gift to you. Hope you like it. Thank you very much. Nagkita kayo? Nagkita kayo ni No Nonsense? Nagkita ba kayo? Salamat MGN. Yan, good morning. Hello. Trust me bro, wink wink ha. Simple Lailani, shoutout sa iyo. Good morning po Sir Kayo at sa lahat na gustong matuto, pati na rin mga bashers. Yeah, kasama na sila dyan. Tom, Marie, shoutout sa iyo. Juan Marco, Chibi, may mekos-mekos ba sa pag-a-apply ng term na tradition? Context dependent ang budget, I think. Onaida, game section, Teacher Ed, Kim Eupenia, Sabao, shoutout sa iyo. Gerald, Jay, Cerberus Knight, Wang Liu, salamat sa donation mo. Salamat. Bernie, shoutout sa iyo. Yo, good morning. Ayan. Hindi, may nakita na kasi ako, nag-livestream si Miss Rosa ni. So, may nanonood ako, tapos syempre nanonood ako si Miss R.
Wala. Doon sa
Si Miss R. Miss R. Hello, Marzi. Ngayon, baka may confusion kasi. May confusion kasi. Kasi yung approval of budget as a tradition, yung sinasabi yung sinabi ni Kong Marcoleta, tapos yung in-invoke din yata sinabi niya, hindi ko pa napanood yun, pero sinabi ni Miss Rosa ni, in-invoke doon sa Senate, kay na ba yun? Kayo na ba yun? Yung ng DepEd ngayon? Damn it! Who's that guy? The Angara guy. Yeah. The Angara guy. Yeah. Yun. Tapos parang tinuloy yata, parang nireject yung like that tradition. Ngayon, explain natin. Exactly. Kaya ako to tinakil din kasi marami siyang connection sa iba-ibang subjects, topics, even the law. Di ba sabi ko sa inyo, ang law is pragmatism, right? Even in the religious context, yan yung pinag-aawayan ng Roman Catholic and the others, okay? Because of the tradition, okay? Yan yun. There's nothing wrong with tradition per se, no? There's nothing wrong with it. Kasi there are basic assumptions kung bakit may tradition, okay? But there are two kinds of it. The binding one and yung unbinding na tradition. Okay? Ito ng example ko. Yung sabi ng tito ni Chubbs, mas kilala ko sa tito ni Chubbs eh. Sabi niya, long time practice na hinahalongkat yung ibang area kung ano man itatanong, di ba? Kahit hindi directly related dito, tatanong pa rin lahat. Pero sabi niya at the same time, magstay sa topic. That's a tradition. Okay? And then yung pag-a-approve ng budget nang walang like scrutiny or without heavy scrutiny. That's a tradition as well, right? Pero unbinding ones. Meron tayong tinatawag na binding traditions at papasok tayo dun sa law. Okay? Kahit tanong ko kay Tor Libayan, I researched this shit. Okay? Oy, nakita kayo Ano, kamusta? Huwag mo sabihin na. Salamat bro, salamat bro. Pakinggan muna natin si ano. Pakinggan muna natin si ano. Kasi may naalala kasi ako. Hindi ko sabihin ngayon kung ano yung naalala ko. Sabi ko, naisip ko, actually, this is the perfect time to actually discuss it. Okay? Yung difference ng binding at saka unbinding tradition. This is a very important one. Okay? Very important. Okay? Diyan kami madalas mag-clash ng nanay ko about tradition in government. She used to be a government worker, particularly LGU. Yun nga. Tuloy natin mo ito kay Miss Rosalie.
issue ng confidential fund.
Tara.
Di ba? So, kaya niya ba iniwanan yung department? So, that is still under her or she's still within the department. It was conducted, I think, started 2021, 2022. Tapos yung evaluation 2023, nilabas, di ba?
Lagyan tayo konti para di siya masyado. Pagod na nga si Miss Rosalie niyan. Bibilisan mo pa magsalita, hindi lalo napagod yan. Di ba?
So, that is still under her or she's still within the department. This year lang naman siya nag-resign eh. So, bakit wala siyang involvement doon? So, yun yung mga questions ko before. And then yun nga, parang na-realize ko after the deliberation ng budget ng DepEd.
Ito. Hello, good morning. Gem the Witch. Ito.
Oh my God, ang daming palpak doon na parang hindi niya na-address or at least hindi man lang niya na-improve. Di ba? So, kaya niya ba iniwanan yung department na yun is para hindi siya ma-question dahil darating nga yung another budget hearing na naman ng DepEd and if siya pa yung nakaupo doon,
Possible yun.
then she will be asked about so many things about DepEd.
Yeah. I hate tradition, lalo yung pagbago ka sa company, unang sahod mo, magpapakain ka. Dude, that's nothing. What kind of tradition bullshit is that? Alam mo tradition dito, unang-unang sweldo mo, bigay mo sa nanay mo. That's the tradition here. Do you get it? That's the tradition here. Unang-unang sahod mo, bigay mo sa nanay mo. How's that for a tradition, dude? Ano? Papalaga? Papakain ka lang naman pala, anak ng tokwa. Galit ka pa. Sa akin, ganun na. Nung unang sahod ko, 70% sa magulang. Good morning, Batusay. Ito masyado ka reklamador, Paps Chulo eh. Buti kami natira pa sa'yo. Game. Oo nga, no. Binding yun. I know. Right? I know. Game tuloy.
And then yun nga, parang hindi siya makakakawala doon sa issue ng confidential funds.
Yeah. Possible din yan. Another tradition for my nanay, magbigay sa church which is not in dispute naman. Okay? Magreklamo na naman si Bex niyan. Unang sahod ko kayo, pinambili ko ng gear for my hobby as wannabe audiophile. Yun lang. Ganun ba yun? Kaya pala nag-away kami ni mama. Pinambili ko ng dog food and vitamins. Puro ka kasi logos. Yun yung problema sa'yo. Andiyan ba si Ern? Nag-message ngayon ko lang nabase. Huwag kang mag-alala, walang mekos-mekos na nangyari. Huwag kang mag-alala, Ern. Mahirap i-mekos-mekos ang attitude. Mahirap i-mekos-mekos ang attitude, Ern. Okay? Mahirap i-mekos-mekos yan. Okay? Ako, unang sweldo ko sa family. Ngayon naman, kung saan-saan na lumilipad. Ayun, yun lang.
Diba? And then yun nga, nung naisip ko, So if meron ganun palang tradition na sinasabi si
Huy, 2/3 na. O, di ba? Mahirap yung mekos-mekos ang attitude. So, don't worry. Walang mekos-mekos na nangyari. Kayo sleepy? Hindi naman. Kayo po sleepy. Sa akin yung tradition, hindi tayo obligated niyan. Maybe voluntary, pero hindi tayo obligado. Yun nga yung unbinding tsaka binding. Okay? Ano ba, Batusay? Relax ka lang. Unbinding naman yan, okay? May dalawang klase nga. Papakita ko nga sa inyo mamaya. Oh.
Congressman Marcoleta sa budget ng OVP. Maybe she's trying to get away with something. Kaya ba ganon? And then kaya ba ang defense niya is she's being, or yung budget niya is being politicized?
Possible din kasi yun.
Siguro before she is expecting mo lang magtatanong, but then there's Senator Risa. Kaya nga, di ba? Doon ako na, yung ina-analyze ko yung parang course of events. And then yung mga nangyayari. So parang, teka lang, ganun ba yun? Yun ba yung game plan? Diba? And then, nakaisip na naman ako na parang, so if meron palang mga ganong klaseng tradition sa Senate and sa Congress, tungkol sa mga budgets ng mga departamento, ganyan. Kasi nung budget hearing din nung sa DepEd.
Yan. Ang tinis, may gigil nga si Miss Rosany. Oh.
Merong isa din congressman na nagsabing, pinraise niya si
Angara.
Secretary Angara nung present yung presentation ng DepEd, and then yung parang total budget na kailangan nila for next year, which is around 732 billion ba? Basta 700 plus billion. And then merong isang congressman na nagsabing, pinipraise niya si Senator Angara, and then with that budget, because we know naman na talagang kailangan ng DepEd ng budget kasi ang daming problema, blah, blah, blah. May sinabi siya doon na it's parang another tradition na naman daw na na lang, parang no questions asked na lang yung budget ng DepEd and then i-push na lang.
Yeah.
Parang gano'n.
Okay, yun din sinabi ni Kong Marcoleta, di ba? May long standings na si anak ni PBBM, Sandro Marcos, yung nagtumayo na there's a long standing tradition na we approve the then lahat na inapprove na, right? Okay. The way Miss Rosany actually tingnan yon is that's a source of corruption. Okay? Lalagyan ko lang ng distinction. Alam mo naman tayo sa pragmatism, nasa nuances tayo, okay? Lagi tayo nasa nuances. Okay.
And then meron lang nag-object. Kaya natuloy yung deliberation nila, yung questioning nila. So nag-isip ako na sabi ko, okay, so if meron palang mga ganong klaseng tradition dyan sa government natin, especially when it comes to budget, diba, ng mga department. So parang no wonder, di tayo nagpo-progress as a nation. No wonder sobrang talamak yung corruption sa government natin.
Not so fast, Miss Rosany. Okay. Wow. Oh.
Di tayo nagpo-progress as a nation, diba, ng mga department. So parang no wonder, di tayo nagpo-progress as a nation. No wonder sobrang talamak yung corruption sa government natin. It's because of those traditions. And we have leaders. We have government officers na hinahayaan yung mga yon mag-pass or kini-carry out yung ganong klaseng tradition. That is such a sick tradition to have, di ba?
Not so fast. Okay, let me argue on the other side. Okay? Kasi ang assumption ng long-standing tradition na yon is not about the corruption. Okay? It's about trust and competence. Okay? Kasi ganito yon. Unang-una, ikaw yung secretary, right? So, it is assumed that you actually investigated these problems. You actually contacted experts and stuff like that. You consulted the relevant, like, the key focal persons in that department. And then you conducted the research. You conducted everything. So, ngayon, ako, as part of the Senate or part of the Congress, I would trust, in good faith, I would trust that you've done the due diligence. Okay? So ngayon, that purpose is for efficiency and order. Nag-history, oo, hindi. Wag masyadong magalo sa tradition, okay? Is it a source of, it can be abused, right? For example, ganito, what is the point of the deliberation kung, like for example, ganito, actually, yung corruption sa akin is just pangatlong priority. There is no uncorrupt government. Even sa mga first world country, like Canada, may mga corruption issue din. Sabi nga sa Bible, we're really good at it. Okay? We're really good at it. Invent ways para, alam mo yan, circumvent yung system. Okay? We're really good at it. Pero, ang gusto ko lang is, hindi tayo pwedeng mag-hasty generalization na because of that, then there's corruption. No, not really. Kasi, bigyan kita ng argument na oo nga moment. Okay? For example, the previous budget is nakalabel lang, for example, kung ano man yung nakalagay doon, mga label na for books, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Then, here's the problem. Yung next na mag-propose ng budget ay iba na yung tao, right? But, ni-research niya, blah, 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 inalam niya, and then, that person thinks that plausible yung last na budget, proposal. And wala naman new projects, right? So, ganito yung ginawa. Po-propose siya ng katulad nun to maintain that project. Dun, yung last budget, yung projects doon. To actually just maintain it. Okay? And then, like, continue it, right? Ngayon, what is the point of the deliberation then? Na-guess mo? Na-guess nyo, guys? There's no point for the deliberation. Kasi, pwede ko bang hulaan na you will be corrupt because of that proposal? And you will abuse it? I cannot do that. Di ba? But, since pumasa yung last time, okay na yun. Kung may deliberation man yun o wala, ibig sabihin, it's a continuous project. Ngayon, ano yung point ng deliberation or heavy scrutiny do sa budget na yun? Is inefficient. So, kaya nagkaroon ng tradition na ganon kasi it is based on trust and competence. Kasi assume naman na kung sino yung nag-take na responsibility or sino assume ng position na yun o ng office na yun is competent and trustworthy. Kasi unang-una, si VP ay binoto ng maraming tao. So, assume na kagad yung trustworthiness. Kaya yung sinasabi ni Kong Marcoleta na yan ay binoto ng milyong-milyong Pilipino. That alone ay nag-i-imply ng trust. So ngayon, it makes sense na magkaroon ng ganong klaseng tradition on the basis ng trust and competence. Okay? Kung continue yung project, inefficient na kapag bubususiin pa. While kapag may changes sa objective, dun mag-make sense yung... Exactly! Ito problema. Yung kay VP, tsaka sa DepEd, dapat make sense ang deliberation in a pragmatic framework because there's something new, like the confidential funds, right? But here's the problem. Yung tradition na yon is actually misused. Kumbaga, may tamang lalagyanan yon. Okay? May tamang lalagyanan yon. The tradition. But, kung kailan siya kailangan, kung kailan kailangan, yung tradition na yon, unbinding naman yun eh. Hindi naman binding yung tradition na yon. Katulad na nangyari kay Angara ngayon, right? Hindi naman kasi binding yon. So ngayon, kung may bago, like confidential funds, there's enough reason to believe na kailangan mong scrutinize. Right? Kasi confidential, doon sa title palang confidential funds, that will actually give you doubt. Right? Nagets nyo, guys? There's a new item there, confidential. Why is it confidential? Ano ang laman ng confidential? Saan gagamitin or blah, blah, blah. Yun yung proper na paglagay or paggamit ng deliberation or intense scrutiny. But, the problem is, yung tradition na yun ay doon ginamit na may additional item. Nagets nyo? Dapat doon in-scrutinize yun. But the problem is, nag-invoke yung anak ng presidente, siguro dahil BFF pa kasi sila, kaya sinabi, ipasa na lang, right? And then siguro naisip din ni Sandro Marcos na merong questionable doon na confidential funds. Right? So ngayon, nag-aaway yung dalawang kampo for something na may cooperation sila. May contribution sila doon sa pangyayaring yon. But ang problema ngayon is na nasisisi lang si VP. Again, sino nag-invoke nung tradition na yon at that moment? Si Sandro, right? Sabi ko, may immunity lang presidente sa akin, but Sandro Marcos is not a president. So they're in it on it. Diba? They're both in it. Kasi, bakit hindi dumaan ng intense or extensive deliberation yon? Kasala ni Sandro M. Yan, nakikita nyo yung nuances, right? Nakikita nyo yung nuances, right? Kasi at that time, that's the proper time na i-deploy yung deliberation. Like extensive. Kasi there's an item there. Confidential funds. Yun yung proper time na gamitin yon. Kasi we are pragmatist here, guys. We only deploy certain techniques or methods if it's necessary. If there's a doubt, a real doubt. Thanks kayo na pa-oo nga moment ako. That's why I'm here. For your oo nga moment dose every day. We don't know how it works in the background kasi in actual scenario, puro may kulang eh. Or tapyas na allocated budget or asking budget kahit dumaan pa sa deliberation yan. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. We're just talking about the tradition, right? The tradition is misplaced. Kasi kung dire-diretso lang, there's nothing, no changes. Hello, Violet. No changes in the budget. Then good. Let's do the tradition. Right? But if there's something new there, kasi alam mo kung saan nagre-rely ang tradition? Yung mechanism ng accountability. Okay? Kaya may check and balance naman din yon. Yung tradition na yon is nakarely kung gaano kalakas yung sa accountability and aspect of it. Okay? Yung mechanism na yon is naka-ground yung tradition na yon dito sa mechanism na to. Okay? So it's not a big deal if you actually do the tradition. It's not a big deal. It's not a source of corruption per se. Doon sa amin, hindi unang sweldo ang anak ko, pinambili niya ng gadget, late na PM ko. Kaya nga, nabubudol ko asawa ko dahil pragmatist ako. Ayan tayo eh. Boomerang, tinamaan ng Congress, casualty tayo. So the question, Sir Kayo, when will tradition work? Bibigyan ko nga kayo mamaya. Meron kasi, sabi ko nga sa inyo, the problem is, tradition is based on trust and competence, right? Ngayon, if there's doubt, unang-una yung tradition na yan is not binding. Let's just differentiate between the two. May dalawang klase ng tradisyon. Yung binding at saka not binding. Ano yung binding? Pupunta tayo sa hierarchy of courts. Once upon a time, it was a tradition. Okay? Hindi siya specified or hindi siya stipulated or hindi siya kasama sa laws. It's just a customary, Dati, pwede mo actually invoke yung cases to be heard ng Supreme Court kagad. Pwede mong gawin yun. Right? Alam mo kung saan ko ito naisip? Certiorari. Kita ko di ba yan? Rule 65. Namimili daw sila. Di ba? Namimili daw sila kung Court of Appeals o Supreme Court diretso. I thought there's hierarchy of courts. Yeah, but the Supreme Court will accept it if it's necessary o may compelling reasons na i-take. Right? Pero once upon a time, hindi yun batas. It's just a tradition. Why? Pragmatism ulit for efficiency and order. Bakit? Oo nga naman, kung pwede mo kagad mag-apply sa Supreme Court kagad, sino pipili sa lower courts? Ikaw nga, sige nga. Ikaw, hindi mo ba gusto Supreme Court kagad? Kahit ako, gugustuhin ko Supreme Court kagad eh. Exactly. Problema is, yung may mga minor cases, ma-overwhelm yung Supreme Court. Right? So ngayon, lumabas sa mga jurisprudence, yung Quaresma versus, mamaya pupunta natin. I searched that shit. Kasi alam ko, hang on, I just remember something. Si kagad para final agad pag may decision. Correct, di ba? Pero, yung pati yung rules of court na yan, tsaka yung hierarchy of courts, is born out of tradition. But that tradition now is binding. Gusto ko agad yan, kayo, rekta agad, kaalyado ko na lahat. Matic law of the land ka agad. Bata na? Kaalyado na lahat ng nasa posisyon. Sino may ayaw na nasa last battle agad? I know, right? Magtataka pa tayo, maging sa religion, marami rin corruption. At saka, ang pinag-aawayan, like the Reformed and the Roman Catholic, di ba? Kasi yung tradition nila is nagiging infallible. Tandaan natin yung difference ng infallibility tsaka ng tradition. Okay? Tradition is not infallible. Okay? O, pumunta tayo sa history ng kinuha ko yung history. Here's the history. Ito. The doctrine of hierarchy of courts in the Philippines has its roots in both colonial legal systems and jurisprudential development. Transitioning, kaya ako ito inano dito sa history ng court. Kasi, siyempre, batas natin, di ba? Para hindi tayo lumalabas sa context. Kumbaga, make sense, efficient, right? Ito. Transitioning from a tradition or practice into a binding principle. Ito, lakihan natin ha. Through a series of court rulings and procedural formalizations over time. Here's a historical outline of how it became binding after initially being a tradition. See? Tsaka may discuss ako mamaya tungkol dyan, ha? Okay. Colonial legal influence. Okay? Ito, blah, blah, blah. American common law hierarchical structure for courts were higher courts, jurisdiction for lower courts. However, the hierarchical system wasn't always codified in specific statutes. It was a practice based on the colonial legal system models. Okay. Spanish period, blah, 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 based on Spanish, including you can actually appeal American control of the Philippines, 1898, legal system, common law traditions, further reinforcing structured court hierarchy. Okay, late 19th century, tsaka early 20th century. To. During the early 20th century, the hierarchy of courts functioned more as a tradition or common practice rather than strict legal rule. Courts followed the general principle that lower courts should handle cases first. But this was largely based on pragmatism and efficiency. Bakit? Kasi nandiyan na si first noon. joke lang. There was no explicit law or constitutional provision mandating that all cases had to pass through the entire hierarchy before being elevated to Supreme Court. But it was understood that this process would ensure judicial efficiency and prevent higher courts from being overwhelmed with minor cases. Okay? Numating na tayo doon sa post-1946. Okay? Basahin nyo na lang yan. Kita naman sa di ba? Gagi, nag-brown out. Nag-brown out. Other maintenance yung provider dito sa amin, kaya mobile data gamit ko. Nag-brown out. Damn it. Asa na ako? Nag-brown out. Kaya pala, Sabi na, Brown. Tutulong ka ng PNP. Nasa na tayo? Sa history. Okay. Okay, ito. Tokwa. Influence, ito. Common law doctrine, high courts, function, saan ba tayo nun? Elevated, understood, this process would ensure efficiency, prevent higher courts from being overwhelmed with minor cases. Okay? And then 1946, after the Philippines gained independence in 1946, the judicial structure remained largely influenced by American common law system, right? Ito na nga yan. Ayan. During this period, the rules of court began to formalize many judicial process, further reinforcing the hierarchical structure. However, the doctrine was still primarily seen as a guiding principle. Okay? Nung moment na 1946 onwards, guiding principle pa lang siya rather than absolute rule, as there was room for flexibility in certain cases where the Supreme Court could take jurisdiction directly. Applicable din pala ang tradition na i-brown out. Ngayon. Eto na ngayon. Nagkaroon ng jurisprudence. Okay? The doctrine of hierarchy of course became more explicitly binding in the mid-20th century through key Supreme Court decisions that formalized the principle. These rulings established that cases must generally pass through lower courts before they can be brought to higher courts, especially to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court. Ayan yung People versus Quaresma, 1989. Okay? 1989. And then itong heirs of Hinog versus Melicor, 2005. Yan. Nakita nyo na? And also, by definition, bigyan ko kayo ng example. Di ba, sa mga decisions ng Supreme Court, nagiging guiding siya sa mga assuming the same facts. Okay? The same facts. Kokopyahin nila yung decision na yon, and then boom. Okay? That's part of the tradition. Okay? But the difference is, that tradition is binding because it's expected to be followed. Okay? Pero based on tradition nyo, kasi if you're going to be strictly logical, philosophical with it, how about intention? Are there cases that you can, parang maaaring same yung facts, like not the facts in the sense of intention, more on the evidence or the, not, kasi masyadong heavy yung facts of the case kasi kung same facts of the case, then parehas yung intention kasi facts of the case di ba? Anyway, alam mo, same yung mga evidence, blah, 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 right? But there's a difference in, like, intention. Then how do you prove it? Right? Ngayon, meron nangyayari na sinusundan lang nila yung last decision, right? And then, like, for example, ang tagal nung, tulagan, right? Tulagan yun, di ba? Tulagan case. And then, nagkaroon ngayon yung sumunod na decision na yung sweeping statement is binago. Right? Ngayon, that actually functions as a tradition. So, it's not actually bad per se. Tapos may kukwento ko sa inyo. Halimbawa, bigyan ko kayo ng bigyan ko kayo hypothetical. Para makita natin yung binding tsaka not binding. For example, saan ito nako-confuse? Saan ito nako-confuse? Halimbawa ito, meron ako scenario, hypothetical, usapan chatroom lang to Halimbawa ganito. Prosecutor, no? So, yung prosec is nagbigay ng decision ng probable cause, no? No. Gets nyo. Bawa, nagbigay ng probable cause, no? Pinasok ngayon. Tapos ikaw naman ngayon, tapos parang umapila ka sa nagkaroon ng Usapang chatroom lang guys ha. Usapang chatroom lang to guys ha. O di ikaw ngayon. Nagkaroon ng omnibus resolution. Ha? Nagkaroon ng omnibus resolution. Ngayon, may correction do sa interpretation of the law. Like for example, usapang lang to ha, usapang chatroom lang to. Halimbawa, gawin natin example ng maganda example. Kunyari fair use. Okay? Kunyari fair use. Sinabi nung sa lower court na it's a matter of defense. Okay? So it must be threshed out sa full-blown trial, right? Okay. Sabi naman sa omnibus resolution, it's not only a defense. It is also a factor on determining probable cause. Kunyari lang, walang seryoso, di ba? So ngayon, yung mga lawyers, yung mga nasa paligid dyan, so ngayon, dinismiss ngayon ng omnibus resolution sa decision, yung probable cause, right? Dinismiss ngayon. Ngayon, na-offend ngayon yung lower court. Na-offend. Nasaktan yung feelings, kunyari. Diba? Kunyari lang nasaktan yung feelings. Ngayon, kasi may expected na professional courtesy na ibibigay yung judge dun sa prosec, right? Fiscal ba tawag? No, prosec. Basta yun na yun. Ngayon, ini-expect na papabayaan yung decision na yun until it reaches the court. Right? The trial. Di ba? So ngayon, nag-i-expect ngayon yung taong yun na as a professional courtesy, pabayaan yung probable cause. That's an unbinding tradition. Although it's a common practice, but it's not binding. Nagets nyo? Yung professional courtesy, like for example, tingnan natin sa mga, I also search this shit, okay? Like sa extension ng pag-file lang, di ba? Sa mga pleadings. Hindi yun binding. Okay? It's a tradition na kung wala namang issue sa case, like yung schedule, blah, 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 diba? Blah, blah, blah. Like sa font ng pleadings, blah, 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 diba? Like typographical error, blah, 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 but it's not binding. Ngayon, halimbawa ako yung prosec ngayon, gumamit ako Rule 65, Ano lang to, theoretical bullshit lang to, wala naman tayo alam sa batas Alam to, theoretical bullshit, okay? O di nag-Rule 65 ngayon, abuse of discretion, power or whatever. Grave abuse of discretion. Justification ko, I was offended. I already made the decision na there's probable cause. But that judge, dapat hindi siya nakikialam dito. Ba't di naman siya nakialam It's just a correction in the interpretation of the law, right? Na fair use is not actually just a defense. It's part of the requirement for you to determine probable cause. Right? O ngayon, bawa ako pumunta ako sa Supreme Court ngayon, Tapos, invoke ko yung Rule 65, di ba? Pwede naman sa Court of Appeals. Pero ba't sa Supreme Court? Well, unless there's necessary, parang may compelling reason sa Supreme Court na pwede, di ba? Bakit parang mas marunong pa yung judge kaysa sa fiscal? Bad trip. Yun nga di ba? Yung professional courtesy na yun, ay not binding. That's a tradition, yes. Yes, the customary even. But that's not binding. So, bawa ako pupunta ako, Rule 65, Supreme Court. That's ang dahilan ko, grave abuse of, discretion. What? Kasi na-offend ako. You hurt my feelings. Parang ganon, di ba? Something like that. Kung ganon, you hurt my feelings. Di, what's up? Kamusta? Di ba? Baala ka dyan. Yun, ako-confuse kasi ng tao, yung binding at hindi. Di ba? Guess nyo? Usapan chatroom lang yon, ha? Clear ba tayo dyan? Usapang chatroom lang yon. It didn't happen in reality. Theoretical bullshit lang siya, okay? Gets ba tayo? Press 1 if you get that. Gets out. Di okay. Gets nyo na? So yun. Yun yung pagkakaiba ng binding tsaka not binding. Okay? Kasi ang minapanood kasi ako, ini-expect kasi ng mga lawyers na yun, as a professional courtesy, dapat pinabayaan nyo na lang yung decision ng judge. Gusto mong panoorin natin? Gusto nyo ba? Anyway. Yun yung sinasabi ko. Hindi siya nangyayari yan sa earth. Hindi, hypothetical lang yan. Let's go. Yes. Meron bang video? Meron. Punta natin. Hindi ko lang mahanap kung saan banda yun. Ay. Ay, wala na guys. Sorry. Ito. Ito. Ayan. Ito. Ayan. Yan. Kasi na. Hindi, yan talaga yung video tinutukoy ko na may ni-expect na hindi natin alam kung game. Anong game? Yan yung video. Panoorin nyo yan. Maririnig nyo yun dyan. Anong kasi na? Gets out. Si Tia Omar ba'y nakaitim? Hindi. Yara. Basta yun. So, nakita nyo na kung bakit kailangan natin makita yung tradition tsaka yung binding tsaka not binding. Yung tradition is not actually bad per se. As a tradition, yes, siguro pinapabayaan mo na yung mga ganong decision, right? Hanggang sa makarating doon sa pero that's not binding. Okay, that's not binding. Yun. Kasi that relies on the competency and the trust na you can actually do your job correctly. Nagigis nyo? Na-hurt ang feelings sa fiscal. Hello, Nakashima. Nagigets nyo? Nagigets nyo? Tradition na pagpiso ang sukli, candy na lang pero hindi palagi. Tama. Okay? So, yung tradition is not bad per se. Kasi nag-focus din siya sa idea ni Adam Smith ng specialization. Kasi ako, as a, ito no, kasi you assume that the person na ano ng budget is actually the expert o consulted the experts. Did the due diligence. That's why you actually approve it. Kasi what's the point of actually deliberating on it if there's nothing new to it? Right? Pero ang problema, hindi yun binding. Okay? Not binding yun. That's a tradition like the professional courtesy. Okay? Parang, babayaan mo niya, hindi siya necessary. Pero tradition actually helps. Lalo na kung good yung tradition. Kung ito ay grounded sa magandang adhikain. Right? Kasi tamo na-invoke yung pragmatism doon, di ba? Pragmatism and efficiency because of order and efficiency, right? Kasi ma-overwhelm nga naman yung Supreme Court doon sa mga cases ng mga minor. Vaker. Yan! Gets nyo na? Hindi ko kasi alam kung mahanap ko dito eh. Oh. Oh. Oh, diba? So, naintindihan nyo na, guys. Meron ba hindi naintindihan? May tanong ba kayo? Ethical versus hindi naman din. Naano ko lang kasi naggumawa ng hasty generalization si Miss Rosany. Baka ma-demonize yung tradition kagad. Kasi there are traditions na stem from a good place. Like, for efficiency and order and kaya nagkakaroon ng tradition din. And hindi naman lang sa budget, mga ganyan-ganyan, ano yung tradition na yan. Miski nga sa churches, di ba, meron din ganyan. Like for example, yung kay Paul. Maganda tong idea yung kay Nico David, right? Kay Nico David. Ang sabi niya kasi, naalala niyo yung kinontent natin siya. Puntahan ulit natin kay Nico David. Sino ba yun? To.
So, crab mentality.
Yun yung isang magandang toxic Filipino culture na pwede nating pag-usapan.
Ito.
This is one of the close to home topics na sa tingin ko, marami kasi yon. Halimbawa, most recently, actually gusto ko talaga magkaroon ng debate about doon eh. Yung nanay at tatay or yung magulang, ginagawa nilang retirement plan yung anak. This is one of the close to home topics na sa tingin ko, nung na-bring up yung mga nakaraang issue, talagang nag-surface. Yung igalang ang magulang sa lahat ng konteksto, tapos yung ibang mga...
igalang ang magulang sa lahat ng konteksto, yes. Okay. Dalawa yung mukha niyan, ha? That tradition, yung binding na tradition is in the law of God. Okay? Yun yung binding. Yung not binding is the tradition in the sense na, tamo Hindi naman, sinabi lang naman igalang eh. Hindi naman sinabing sundin sa lahat. Okay? Never sinabi yon. Ang tradition is igalang. Irespeto. Okay? Yun yung tradisyon. Hindi sinabing sumunod sa lahat ng gusto ng magulang. Ay, mahina rin naman kasi ito eh. Pero dito mag-a-apply yung point. Okay? Dito mag-a-apply yung point sa tradition na to. Ganito. Biblically speaking, ang buong exception nun is yung kay Saul, kay David, tsaka kay Nathan. Right? Inutusan ni Saul si Nathan kay David. But si Nathan is kumampi kay David. But nirespeto niya pa rin yung tatay niya si Saul. Right? Yun yung application na honor your parents. Gets nyo ba? Nag-gets nyo guys? It happens talaga pag incompetent yung lower court. You can go directly to SC. Umandar na naman si self-debunker ad hominem ironically daw. Yes, okay, gets. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng honor your parents. It doesn't mean na sundin mo sa lahat. That's not what it means. Kailangan mo i-honor, respect your parents. Okay? That's what it means. Ngayon, yun yung binding. Yung not binding is the idea, kasi yung tradition na yon is actually, dito sa ano, yung tradition na yon is actually, is stemming from the idea na yung magulang mo is wise, as a good heart for you, kasi tatay mo siya, na hindi kanya ipapahamak. That's the assumption of that tradition. Okay? Katulad lang din yan na Romans 13. Submit to governing authorities. Because the assumption is God put them there. There are assumptions that they will carry out justice. That's why you don't go against the government. The basic assumption there in that tradition, dito sa huwag natin puntahan yung Bible, that tradition ay nag-i-stem yan sa assumption, una, competent, trustworthiness, and they are good. Okay? That tradition stems from that. Na yung magulang, hindi niya ipapahamak yung anak. Kaya, that's the tradition. Kasi, that's actually, pinapakita niya yung humility mo, pagiging humble mo. Why? Because, traditionally speaking, or even realistically speaking, yung matanda, as mas marami ng experience, marami ng nakitang sa mundo. Ngayon, because of that knowledge na meron yung matanda, ayaw niya, as ethos, ang ethos niya is ayaw kanyang mapahamak. So, kaya mo susundin. Nagigets nyo? Kaya mo susundin because of that. Kasi hindi ka naman ipapahamak eh. Yun yung point. That's the assumption. Pero kung ang magulang mo is ipapahamak ka, ang pwede mo lang ibigay is respeto, but you can distance yourself. Respeto lang kaya mo i-maintain doon. Pero it doesn't mean na kailangan mo silang sundin. Okay? Merong categorical error, lalo na tong pseudo-intellectual na to. Nagigets nyo? That's a tradition. And that's actually a good tradition. Tama? Only those people who don't see the history of it, kung bakit ganon, the whole ethos of it, yun lang yung lalaban doon. Yun lang magsasabing that's wrong. Of course, there are instances that it is wrong. That's the very point of it. Katulad ng tradition do sa budget. There are instances na it is wrong. It's not infallibility. Tradition doesn't signify infallibility. It is actually rooted sa trust and competence. Doon yung naka-base, kaya mo pinapalagpas in the sense of tradition. Kasi nga, alam mo, unang-una, division of labor. Pangalawa, na siya yung ginawa niya lahat ng dapat gawin bago niya i-propose yan. That's the assumption. Kung ang assumption mo is laging yung mga, ganito, kung lahat ng propose ng budget is assumption mo is dinadaya ka, o yun talaga yung mangyayari. Pero misplaced. Diba? Yung tradition is misplaced doon sa may bagong item na confidential funds kay VP Sara. Dapat doon ginamit yung deliberation. And then yung succeeding nung nawala yun, doon gagamitin yung tradition. Bakit? It doesn't matter anymore. Kasi continuation lang ng previous bago mag-confidential funds yung budget ngayon. Nagets nyo? They switch the application of it eh. In pragmatism, kaya nga, di ba sa pragmatism is siya yung gumigit na sa rationalism tsaka empiricism. Di ba? Kaya idealism tsaka realism, pragmatism yung gumigit na. Kasi yung ano ni Peirce, yung bulag tsaka yung bingi, they actually witness the same murder but they're giving you different, walang overlapping na information. Kasi hearing tong yung isa site. O ibig sabihin, walang overlapping kasi magkaibang senses yung ginamit. Walang mag-overlap na information, right? O ngayon, paano mo gagamitin? Kapag gusto ko malaman yung narinig, doon ako pupunta sa nakakarinig. Kapag gusto ko yung site, doon ako sa nakakita. Of course. And that's how actually pragmatism utilize both. Kung saan siya proper. Kaya, kapag kita mo, ang mga taong pragmatist, they see the nuances. And they actually apply the correct course of action or method based on the situation, on the context. Hindi isang kasi ang titingnan nila is pragmatism is parang isang method na absolute, right? It's not. Kaya niya nga i-bridge yung dalawa eh. Kasi titingnan niya kung saan may utilize. Saan useful? Saan useful? Ito ba yung mas useful o ito? In determining truth. Nakaground pa rin sa truth. Okay? Nakaground pa rin sa truth. O ngayon yung tradition is the same thing. Wala siyang pagkakaiba sa kahit ano. That concept is only good in its practice. If it serves life or the truth, then it's good. Pragmatism translates idealism and realism into real world practical meanings. Yon, kaya doon sa kanta, kaya yung kantang yon, para maintindihan nyo. That's it. That's what it is. In a nutshell, there's no use crying over spilled milk. Sabi nga ni Peirce ganito, if there's a concept and there's no practical difference, it means in practice there's no difference, then there's no difference. Kapag distinguish mo yung concept, yung pinag-uusapan natin, and then pinangalanan mong tradition, pinangalanan kong culture, it doesn't matter kung ano yung meaning semantically ng dalawang yun. How do we use it? If you mean by culture is the same what I mean by tradition, then there's no distinction. Kasi magkakaroon ng problema yon kapag semantics yung ginamit mo. Pero pag pragmatics on how we use it, kung yung concept mo is you're using it the same I use tradition, then there's no distinction. We shouldn't fight over it. Yun yung point ni Peirce. Malawak talaga sa klaw ng pragmatism. Yun yung point kasi every concept is actually evaluated in its practice. Okay, yung tradition na sa budget, hindi siya bago. Okay, it's the same thing. Yung tradition is actually good sa practice lang niya. How is it practiced? Kasi kapag may bagong pag may bagong item, that tradition, the concept of that tradition is not applicable here. Kasi may bagong item. That tradition doesn't apply here. It's not because we are violating the tradition or whatever. We're not. We're just saying that tradition doesn't apply here. Ngayon din yung idea ng triadic logic. Neither nor. Right? Kasi the idea of the tradition is unang-una efficiency, trustworthiness, competency. Kasi it is assumed unless may reason to believe the doubt. Kaya nga, kailangan, napaka-importante ng concept na doubt sa pragmatism. Because yung doubt mismo ang magpo-force sa'yo na mag-inquire. The belief will not force you to inquire. It's only the doubt that will force you to inquire. And then at that moment, yung may bagong item ng confidential funds, it must create real doubt. Then, that will force you to inquire. Hindi para atakihin yung tao, kundi to fix that doubt, gusto mo mag-transition from doubt to belief, to remove that irritation. Yun yung point. Ngayon yung tradition na sinasabi na long-standing tradition na yung budget, it applies as long as there's no doubt in it. May proper place ang tradition. Huwag niyong i-treat as absolute yan. Gets nyo? Sana ipapaliwanag ko ng maayos on how a pragmatist would see this. Tradition is not bad per se. It's only bad if you actually treat it as absolute. Ang tawag doon isa yan sa nilalabanan ni Peirce, dogmatism. Kaya niya na yung fallibilism. If it works, it works. Tradition, so if may bagong entity, as in neither nor, hindi na applicable yung tradition, ox naman or na oversimplified ko, in a sense, ganyan. You prevent a problem from happening if you're pragmatic. Ganyan din dapat sa government. No, not really. Kasi ganito, no? Mali-mali ang appreciation ng pragmatism, Violet. Kasi kung gagawin natin yan, lahat ng bagay, lahat ng proposal, it has a problem. Mapupunta tayo sa analysis paralysis. Yun yung sinabi ni Smeliap din. Yung sinasabi na binubusisi niya lahat ng sa tao niya, right? That's not pragmatism. Okay? That's being OC. That's being perfectionist. Kasi kung ganyan lahat ng gagawin natin, we wouldn't accomplish anything. Walang papasang batas sa legislative side. Walang papasang batas. Kung bubusisiin mo, bubusisiin lahat. Kasi laws should be tested. Kaya nga andyan yung Supreme Court to interpret it and correct it if there's a problem. Nagigets nyo? Kasi kung ganyan tayo, kung ganyan din dapat sa government sinasabi mo, hindi yan being pragmatic. Mali ang appreciation mo sa pragmatism. Again, an inquiry will only be necessary if there's real doubt. Kasi you want sa fixation of belief, you want to move from doubt to belief. Kaya doubt is very important factor in actually analyzing it or doing an inquiry. Because I want to save money, not doing 100% saves me a lot. Mali appreciation mo violence sa pragmatism. If it works, it works. Tradition. So, if may bagong entity as a neither nor, hindi na applicable. Sinasabi ko nga kanina sa mga pag-adapt ng decision sa mga jurisprudence, right? Kasi it's illogical actually. It stems from tradition as well. It is illogical. Bakit yung nangyayaring ganon? For efficiency. And then the trust dun sa previous judges or do sa court o do sa decision kung nag-decide kung sino may nag-decide nun. Again, that is based on tradition. Why? They rely on the competence and they trust the previous people who actually made that decision. And then they follow it based on yung merits, yung facts of the case, kung ano man yung nandun. And then they will follow that decision. But not necessarily so if you're using strict logic. Because that's a non sequitur, right? But that is based on tradition. So tradition is not bad per se. It makes our lives easier. But is it, pwede bang gamitin sa sa corruption? Of course. You can even use the notion of love sa corruption, like love scam, right? I meant the approach to facilitate the successful implementation of public policies. Yeah, I disagree. The approach is actually methodological. There's a method for it. What do you mean facilitate the successful implementation of public policies? I don't know what it means. It sounds like a bumper sticker or something. Pero ito, to prevent a problem from happening. I don't agree with that. That's a misapplication of pragmatism. Hindi naman preventing a problem yung issue ng pragmatism eh. So I don't know kung paano mo na-appreciate yun, but that's not, I don't think na you have the right appreciation of pragmatism. Pragmatism as a method. Sinasabi mo method is pragmatism, di ba? Kasi ganyan din dapat sa government, hindi photo op sa, I'd rather say na, yan nga eh, hindi ko alam kung ba't may photo op na, I think you have a misappreciation, no? Considered bang pragmatism yung masyado kang nagda-doubt or skepticism na yan, bro? Fallibilism is not a skepticism, okay? Alam ko nagtanong nito si Jenny yata. Si Jenny yata nagtanong sa akin sa PM nito sa page. Or matanong sa mga investments like breaking down how the system works. That's being skeptic. Skepticism yan, it's not pragmatism. Sorry for the question, kapasok lang. It's not pragmatism, that's skepticism. Pragmatism and skepticism are two different schools. Skepticism relies on being skeptic. Sa pragmatism, merong doctrine of fallibilism, meaning you only embrace the idea na you might be wrong sa belief mo. You can be wrong on your beliefs. So you actually formulate a falsification for it in order for you to prove or disprove your belief. Okay? Pag sinabi mo, pag kinu-question mo naman like yung mga ganyan, that's not, ang tawag dyan ni Peirce is not a real doubt. Ang tawag niya dyan is paper doubt. Na-guess mo? Paper doubt ang tawag ni Peirce dyan. Kasi a real doubt will actually force you to inquire in the sense na you take it seriously. Because there's an irritation sa'yo eh. If it doesn't create irritation sa'yo because of your belief system, it's not a real doubt. It's actually a paper doubt. Katulad ng ginawa ni Descartes. Yung dinout niya lahat. Di ba? Sabi niya, that's not a real doubt. That's a paper doubt. Kumbaga, theoretical doubt. Para siyang intellectual masturbation. Parang, yeah, you're doubting it for the sake of doubting it. But it doesn't give you any irritation. It doesn't give you a real real consequence yung doubt na yon. If it's a real doubt, magbibigay ng consequence yun in reality sa'yo. Kasi nga, every concept is actually evaluated through its consequences. So, yung doubt, the viability of doubt, if it actually forces you to inquire, if it creates irritation, and then that's a real doubt. Pero if you're just theoretically doubting everything, that's not a real doubt. That's a paper doubt. Magaan na doubt. It doesn't even affect your life. Kasi nasa kanta rin yan. Hyman the Confi funds, if they didn't approve it in the first place, then we wouldn't have this discussion. No. Part of pragmatism is having this discussion. Kasi we just discovered one false way of doing the budget or the kung ano man yung budget. See, I don't think you're understanding pragmatism. It's not if you didn't approve it, we wouldn't be here in the first place. That's not the point. The point is we are in this situation. We discovered that's bad, then we don't do it again. It's part of pragmatism to have this conversation. Nagigets mo ba, Violet? It's not actually preventing it to happen. It's actually discovering it. If you can actually, sabi nga, isa sa mga criticisms sa pragmatism is, you are good. You are good at determining what's false. You are good at determining what's falsehood. But you haven't given us a position about what you affirm. Gets nyo? So, in that sense, because we just discovered that conflict funds is not good for the budget, for any budget, or kung ano man, then that's part of our knowledge base that we don't do. That's part of the falsehood. Kasi sabi nga ni Peirce, it's easier to actually prove falsehood kaysa sa truth. Kaya nga, truth is the end goal of inquiry. I think you have a misappreciation of pragmatism. It's not because we don't want to have that discussion. We should have that discussion. Cancel. So skepticism ko, if magdig deeper pa ako, research further, and my doubt will be backed up with infos, and I'm one step closer to pragmatism. No, not really. You're not really closer to pragmatism because everything that you actually try to search, you will have that. So, ang bagsak mo is not actually pragmatism, it's actually radical skepticism. Why? Let me show you logically. Sabi mo, so skepticism ko, if magdig deeper ako, research further, and my doubt will be backed up with infos. So, I'm one step closer to pragmatism. No. You're actually one step closer to radical skepticism. Radical skepticism is actually saying there are no knowledge. There are no truths. Why? Because if you do that with everything you do, you will find out that your doubt will always be backed up by infos. Then you wouldn't believe anything now. Then papasok ka sa radical skepticism, which you don't even believe knowledge. That's not pragmatism. Nagets mo, HB? That's not pragmatism. That's skepticism. Gets? Gets ko na hata yung doubt sa sense ng fallibilism versus doubts as in source of anxiety ko. Nagets mo, THB? You're not actually one step closer to the pragmatism. You're actually one step closer to radical skepticism. Meaning, you don't believe knowledge is actually possible. Okay, sumastak ako sa paralysis Yeah. Yeah, that's the very point. That's why, yung sinasabi ni Smelly Up na busisi-busisi, that's not pragmatism. Nope. It's an idiomatic expression. We'll have a different discussion if they didn't approve the confi funds. Yeah, it's the same thing. You're trying to make a distinction without a difference, Violet. It's more pragmatism. No, I'm sorry. I think you have misappreciation of pragmaticism and pragmatism. It's not because we don't have that conversation or we would have prevented that, right? Yung confi funds. Okay, if we would have prevented that, then we wouldn't have this discussion. We would have a different discussion then. That's not pragmatism. We welcome that. In pragmatism, we welcome that discussion. Why? Because in its practice, we see the effect of it. That's why we can actually say that's false. That's wrong. Then we put it in our arsenal, knowledge base, that is wrong. Then we don't do it again. See, that's why I think yung appreciation mo sa pragmatism is medyo malayo kasi you're trying to say na we wouldn't have, kung di nangyari confi funds, we wouldn't have this conversation. That's not what the pragmatism is saying. We should have that too because that's part of the falsehood. So we can get closer to the truth, right? It's not actually preventing it. Okay? The point, ito nga kaya nga, closely related ang pragmatism sa Darwinian framework. Kasi, like for example, the confi funds, right? If the confi funds is ginamit to actually patayin tayong lahat and naubos tayo, bam! Then in that sense, in that context, it's true. Dapat hindi natin pinuntahan yung confi funds because there will be no inquiry now because we're all dead. Kaya nga, closely related siya sa Darwinian framework. Okay? You survive. You continue the inquiry for the truth. That's true enough. For now. As long as we don't kill the whole humanity, okay, that's sufficient truth. Doon sa context mo, if that confidential funds is the cause for the extinction of humanity, then I would agree. We shouldn't go there. We never should have gone there, right? In that context. But in this context, we should know it. Right? Because it's not deadly to us, humanity. It doesn't endanger. It doesn't endanger the whole humanity because of the confidential funds, so we should know it. We should know the effect of it. That's how a pragmatist would answer that. Ganyan din ako, analysis paralysis. Nag-try na ngayon mag-falsify ng mga bagay-bagay, tas pasok na yung system, gagawin ko, then learn ng mga bagong mali na papasok. Yeah, that's how it works. And that's how everything works. Don't you think? That's how everything works. Hindi mo napapansin, kaya ang sinasabi ko, you cannot escape pragmatism, guys. I'm sorry. The most conservative na approach sa reality is pragmatism. Unang-una, you have this doctrine of fallibilism. You can be wrong. Okay? But as long as unfalsified yung belief mo, then it's good enough. Yep. Lagi ko pinaglalaban noon na busisiin maigi lahat, mali pala yun. Yeah. Gets ko yan, pagiging perfectionist. Gets ko yan. Pero, may certain level lang ng sufficiency yung mga bagay-bagay because you cannot do it all. Parang ganito. Parang ganito. Like for example, nire-review ko yung mga gawa ni Chibi. Kasi feeling ko tino-torture niya yung numbers, pinagsisinungaling niya, gano'n, di ba? Let's say I have that doubt sa kanya. But here's the problem. Nasa specialization niya yun. Do you really think I have a chance? Do you really think I have a chance na busisiin lahat ng ginagawa niya I can actually catch her? I don't think so. That's the same reasoning. That's the same reasoning sa tradition ng pag-a-approve ng budget ng mga departments. Do you really think na magkakaroon ako ng chance to actually mahuli si Chibi? Expertise niya yon. Nagigets nyo? Hindi siyempre. Magaling magsinungaling yung mga numbers ni Chibi. Nag-gets nyo? Saan nag-gets nyo? Saan nag-gets nyo yung point? Efficiency. You don't even know what's going on. Exactly. Diyan nag-stem yung tradition ng pag-a-approve ng budget. Why? Because you trust that person or that department na ginawa nila yung due diligence and they consulted experts para tulungan sila. That's why I would just approve it. Unless reality objects to my stupid theory. That's the only time I will inquire. That's called efficiency. Ayun yung very heart ng pragmatism. We also have this advantage na na-anticipate na namin yung tatanong nyo. O, di ba? Do you really think na ilalagay ni Chibi? Ha? Do you really think ilalagay ni Chibi yung pagsisinungaling ng number sa depreciation? Para doon ka nakatingin. Sabihin mo, ba't ang bilis naman depreciation ito? Straight line depreciation method. Palagay mo talaga doon niya ilalagay yon. Really? Come on, dude. Mahuhuli mo lang yan nitpicking the money trail. Napakahalaga talaga mag-base sa reality. Biro mo maganda na, Chibi magaling pa sa number, ikaw na Chibi. Hindi ko alam, deal boss. I don't know. I'm confused with your definition of magaling. Kapag kayang makapagsinungaling ng numbers ni Chibi, I don't call that magaling. That's evil. Masamang tao talaga pag accountant, di ba? Kaya pala ang mahal ng Red Doors, di ba? Legit, di ba? Legit, di ba? Dapat pala sa DTI ko siya nireklamo, no? Kahit naman sa relationship, ganyan. You trust first, and then they break your trust, and you start... Yeah, sabi ko nga, you cannot actually escape pragmatism. That's how it works. Unless may doubt, real doubt, doon sa kapartner mo, right? Tsaka ka mag-investigate sa cellphone, kung sino yung mga kausap, kung sino yung mga ka-chat, di ba? Pero until then, you assume na faithful, na loyal yung partner mo. That's how it works. Because if you're going to analyze everything every day, you'll die poor. Anyway, God bless you lahat. Patagdagin ulit natin yung pragmatism, ha? So, yun lang. Huwag natin hasty generalization na tradition is bad per se and source of corruption. It's not. It has actually its advantage.
Yeah, let's take a journey through the mind to see as peers, where thoughts turn to actions and actions show their worth. Pragmatism in motion, a philosophy so grand. Let's break it down together and understand this man. In a world full of theories, Pierce stood apart, seeking truth in practice. Science at heart, he said ideas are nothing if they don't affect life. Every thought, every action cuts through like a knife. Meanings in the outcome, that's the essence of the game. Test your beliefs in real life, no two things the same. Signs and symbols, all part of the dance. In the realm of pragmatism, nothing's left to chance. Live your pragmatism, what thoughts meet the real. Actions speak louder, that's the true deal. In Pierce's world, it's all about the end. Truth is found in practice when ideas bend. He gave us the tools to question and explore, a method to our madness, opening the door. Logic and inquiry at the core of his quest. In the lab of life, put your ideas to the test. No absolute certainties, just hypotheses to try. In the web of experiences, we find the reasons why. Beliefs are like habits, shaping what we do. In the landscape of pragmatism, everything's in view. Live in pragmatism when thoughts meet the real. Actions speak louder, that's the true deal. Because this world, it's all about the end. Truth is found in practice when ideas bend. He gave us the tools to question and explore, a method to our madness, opening the door. Logic and inquiry at the core of his quest. In the lab of life, put your ideas to the test. No absolute certainties, just hypotheses to try. In the web of experiences, we find the reasons why. Beliefs are like habits, shaping what we do. In the landscape of pragmatism, everything's in view. Pragmatism, when thoughts meet the real. Actions speak louder, that's the true deal. Because this world, it's all about the end. Truth is found in practice where ideas bend. And when you're lost in theory, remember Pierce's way. Test your thoughts in action, let reality play. We're in the dance of life where theories come alive. Pragmatism's the answer, it's where the truths derive. Every doubt, every question leads us to refine. In the practice of our living, true meaning we'll find. C.S. Pierce, a visionary mind, his brand of pragmatism forever intertwined. Live in pragmatism when thoughts meet the real. Actions speak louder, that's the true deal. Because this world is all about the end. Truth is found in practice where ideas bend. Take this message with you as you go on your way. In the spirit of Pierce, let your actions display the power of pragmatism. In everything you do, live the truth you seek and let it guide you through.